Oh, hi, Collette.
Hello.
I love our fashion.
We're both actively getting things done today.
What I love about what I
Adaptability.
recognize about this time and not going to work is like I haven't worn t-shirts and long sleeve t-shirts and short sleeve t-shirts and my ratty pants so much in such a long time. Because I normally, and even though I'm at the office right now, I'm in between chores, like
Mhm.
digging holes and so it's very curious. And so my hair is like it needed covering up today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the question,
Productivity headwear.
right? And the question is, for me, is my go-to clothes when I'm not worried about what other people think.
Mhm.
I dress very differently.
And yet here you are at work and broadcasting over global internet.
I've worn this one a lot. I recall doing our videos and seeing this bike to go by Bike BC.
Yes. Yes. Um, that launches me right into a question for you that I have because we're in a lot of shifting things around, our lifestyles included, and our positions in our careers. And part of what I was practicing my my words for my spoken word part for the Taze coming up on Monday um, is we about us, humanity needing to relinquish in order to expand. And so we're in this change. And, um, you're here, you are at the office right now, maybe likely for the last time this week till Sunday.
Yes, it should be.
Um, and handing me over the logins for the emails and taking them off of your computer and like all that, like, handing over,
Mhm.
relinquishing control for, a person that needs control. Um, how are you feeling in that,
Mm.
in handing it all over? Your life's work after 17 years.
Yeah, right. Well, it's curious. It was brought up to me, to us the other day, how how controlling I'm doing that by not taking a full sabbatical or a full leave, but just
Mhm.
a temporary or a partial layoff.
Mhm.
So it's a way for me to keep my finger in the pot a little bit,
Mhm.
and and it is so there's that recognizing that, oh man, look at me go, and watching me what is it I want to do with my time, um, and doing a lot of gardening. Actually, was curious because I feel like I'm going all over the place, but um, Blake asked me. He said, "Do you think tomorrow you can dig a post hole?" And because of his different health issues, it's not something that's easy for him to do. So, and they're 2 feet deep. And so if you measure 2 feet from the tips of my fingers, my head is in the hole when I'm down at the bottom, so it's hard.
Mhm.
So I said, okay. So this morning when he woke up, I said, you know what? It would really work for me if you could make lunch. And then because I realized that that takes about an hour of prep time, and then I'll dig the hole, like, but I don't want to be chore after chore after chore. Like the hole is hard, and then we got in this little friction about it. Like it was so curious, trying to navigate what do I really want to do today versus now he's asked me to do something because he has this vision of getting the fence up, which means me doing it, which is me doing. for other people, which is like stuff I take on at work. You know, there's a lot of what I do at work, I do not because it's the part that I'm passionate about, but it's the part that keeps the wheels of work going. So I'm aware of, you know, when I was in my meditation this morning, it's like something has to give if I'm going to dig a hole. And it was meal prep. I love prepping meals. I love making good food. And I don't just want my whole day being chores, so to speak, right? I have other things that I want to do. So it's inviting me the opportunity to reflect on how those circumstances aren't just created in my work life, but they're also relevant in my home life, and how to create that that giving of time and space to me at the same time that I'm taking this partial leave from the center.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay to, to be doing it in an adaptable way, going through change, making change in an adaptable way. Like it doesn't have to be all or nothing, but that we have to be um, just acutely aware of whether we're still functioning, a way that we always have, that we don't really want to be right now, in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like, it's about, it's always, it's like my thing, but it comes down to balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
A balancing act of like how it's so easy to, even though it's like if we pluck you out of your
Mm-hmm.
regular role and all the doingness, keeping the work going and making it all happen in your in at the center, like in the building, in the Center for Spiritual Living, you can still do that exact same functioning wherever you land. The point is, do we want to do that, and why do we do that? Like what's the undertone, what's the feeling going on as to why we would keep doing that, why we keep perpetuating the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. It's fear of letting go, fear of that, you know, the control aspect. Um, and so when I think about work, you know, and I've watched emails pop up, some of it is habitual, right? Like Shaw just came in and someone's like, oh yeah, pay that. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do that. Like it's stopping. There's an what's that word they use in Bright Line Eating? Auto, automaticity. I can't think of the word. When things are automatic, you want things to get to that. Like when we drive a car,
Yeah.
from the first time we got in a car and drove it, and it was like, shift, brake, turn,
Mm-hmm.
indicator, you know, all those things. And then when it was raining and there was an indicator and there was all this stuff, it wasn't
Yeah.
automatic, and we had to consciously think about it. So there's a lot of automatic things that I do in my job that now take conscious awareness to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So, and thank goodness they go to that place of automatic so that it frees up the brain. Like we're really actually, as I'm talking about this, we're pretty amazingly designed because we can take things like that, put them in automatic mode, which
Mm-hmm.
frees up our mind to actually then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't have to work at remembering to pay the bills because there's just an automatic process that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas right now, as I teach you those automatic things, you're in that picking up of, which is much more effort than it
Yeah.
is for me,
Yeah.
which is interesting because don't we often get in conversations with people, or even this morning, you know, when Blake and I were having this little did to do about cooking and digging a post hole. And, and I said, what I wanted to do for lunch was spiral some noodles and zucchini noodles and make like a spaghetti. And And so I got the spiraler out and the zucchini. And then when he started doing it, he was like, and I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, that's not my intention, is to give you a task and then you cook our food in resentment. That's not at all. Let me just do it. It's easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's not giving him space to turn something into a routine or a habit or easy for him, right? So it's easy to give you a job, you struggle with it, and you ask me a few questions. Oh, just let me do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think there's a knee-jerk reaction that everyone has to that.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I was listening to something this morning that was talking about going from the sympathetic, back part of the brain into the parasympathetic, right? So, like our fight, flight, freeze to, digest, relax, restore, create, and doing that with our breath work, and, um, because of just the prevalent, back here that's functioning right now a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it kind of, I feel like it's applicable to what we're talking about right now with the automatic pilot idea too, right? Is like be that those things that are so like well trodden and you know um, like directions that we go with our mind and with our body,
Mm-hmm.
become back here. And it's like if we take a couple of deep breaths, we shift to like, okay, creation, a new way, right?
Right.
Tune into that place rather than just do, 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 do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. And here we are. We get to do it all the time. We are doing it all the time. It doesn't take a pandemic to reshift the practice. It's like whether somebody's life is the same, like overall, the kind of same right now as it normally is, or whether it's like completely flip-sided. We get to go from here to here.
It's such
What
a,
did you want?
it is so curious. Like I think, that's the practice that we do at the center all the time.
Mhm.
And so there's a guy here, actually, yeah, he's still here, taking out the suppression unit in the kitchen. And so I was asking him, well, what's your home life like? And he goes, oh my God, I've got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old sons, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, it doesn't matter how hard we exercise them and keep them busy, we just can't seem to wear them out,
Mhm.
right? And I
Mhm.
went, oh yeah, and you got boys. So what was so fun is he was saying, and we're both working really hard at not getting angry. And I thought, what an awesome thing, like it's throwing people into opportunity to practice things that normally they don't have to. But who wants to be stuck at home with your kids yelling all the time? Like it becomes apparently obvious when,
Mhm.
when we're in these situations that we feel out of control. We can't just send them off. We're not going to stick them in front of TV. And TV only works for a while anyway, especially if you have boys. They eventually get bored and want to move.
Mhm.
And all kids probably, right? So after a while, it's like, well, now what?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and that practice for them, right? Not getting angry would take
Right.
I'm certain a couple of deep breaths.
And in regular living where you send your kids off and everybody gets their needs met and you go about your life, there isn't that same pressure to practice a different way because
Right.
we're just in our, again, our
Automatic pilot.
automaticity, whatever that word is.
Mhm.
Someone's going to text that to me in the comments and help me with that word.
Probably your sister.
Or Tara, or people
Yeah.
who use it in bright line eating.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Well,
Thank
I'll have
you.
to take some deep breaths.
Looking forward to a lovely afternoon in the sunshine.
Yes.
Okay, and hopefully we'll see you at Back to Basics tonight,
Mm-hmm.
or anybody else who wants to come. 6:30.
Nice.
Hey, love ya. Yeah.